You guys ready to get started?
Yeah.
All right. So, where we left off, yeah, you were speaking to the oddly garbed woman, and Nivara actually pointed out, or noticed, actually, you guys hadn't had time between Kiedis and Nivara to talk. This encounter isn't quite over yet, and you're still talking to her. But Nivara remembered that the style of her clothing and her manners of speech and some kind of vocal patterns, that kind of stuff, were specific to a region that is still there. Vabi is still there, but not common anymore. And Nivara is, of course, much longer lived than Kiedis, and 200 years ago still remembers parts of this place. So anyways, there's this woman there. This strange unknown woman with Phandalin burning below. So she's still staring out the window at the pillar of black smoke below. The curiously garbed woman slowly turns to face the two of you. She says, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm afraid we'll have to postpone dinner. It really looks like, well, I was really looking forward to learning how you guys skirted Lord Crow's attention all of those times. But I promise we'll catch up soon, okay? Share stories over a nice Bordeaux.
Sure.
At this, you hear loud bootsteps rushing down the hallway towards you. You turn and see Carrie, the burly half-orc courser, whom you met in Jack's mansion, what seems like months ago. It's only been, a couple of weeks maybe at this point, but Carrie stops abruptly when she sees you. There you are. We've been looking all over for you. The director needs to speak with you quickly. Roll a perception, both of you.
I think my dice color got messed up.
Yeah, it did. They're black. You can go ahead and change it whenever you get around to it. Nivara, you've been the one to notice this every time, and since you've kind of noticed in the past that people don't seem to react to this woman here, or when she was a crow, you specifically kind of look back and forth between the two. Carrie does not appear to be seeing this strange woman that's standing next to you, however, at all. But when you kind of look back and forth between the two, you can go ahead and fix your color anytime you. Well, maybe you already are. I can't tell.
Did I? I tried. Well, I mine are different on my side.
I can barely tell over here. It might be a dark red. I'm not sure. Your token's yeah, that's fine. Okay. Your token's a blue, but it doesn't really matter. The token color won't affect the dice color as long as the dice color isn't the same as mine. That's all that matters. Anyway, the strange woman, though, Nivara, looking back and forth between the two, you notice that she smiles at you. The strange woman just gives you a nice, pleasant smile, kind of nods at you, nods at you, and then gives you kind of a polite wave, and then just poof, she's just gone in a thin wisp of black smoke. But Carrie did not react at all. What do you do?
I guess say, all right, I guess we'll go.
Go to the director.
Yeah. With Carrie.
Okay. All right, so you guys follow her out. She leads you back out through the Arboretum. Everyone seems to be playing games and enjoying the festivities. They don't really seem to be aware of any goings-on below. Now, this only happened... The fire below couldn't have been more than a few minutes. I mean, you weren't looking out the window until the strange woman pointed it out to you. But, it couldn't have been happening for very long, in that she seemed to react pretty early, the strange woman, and then pointed it out to you. So it couldn't have been long, but either way, it doesn't seem like anybody here at the college has noticed it. But Carrie leads you down the hall, or out into the Arboretum, and then around to another hall, which leads you out into the director's office, where you see the elder woman is leaning over her white oak desk, staring at an unrolled map spread out between her hands. Unaware of your entrance, she slams her fists against the table in anger. She notices you coming in, but without looking up, she says, "Good, you're here. There's a problem below. A small mining town has just exploded. The behavior of the fireball and the heat at which it's burning are not normal. They match characteristics of one of the Idrilim that we've been searching for, called the Firestorm Cloak, possibly in the hands of one of the Greycoats that I told you about before. You three are my most capable field agents. I need you to go down to the surface and find the source of this fire and save as many of the townspeople as possible. If it is indeed one of the Idrilim, it is vital importance that we retrieve it before the user can make some kind of an attack on a larger population, like the capital of Mist, which is nearby. We need to make haste. The fire only broke out minutes ago, but if you hurry, you might be able to catch the Idrilim before it has a chance to escape." Do you have any questions?
I don't think so. You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. She mentioned Greycoats, by the way. That was something that came up many sessions ago. She specifically had told you that as far as they are aware, or as far as they believe, the Gith are responsible for the Idrilim, and maybe they're using it to sow discord amongst the the peoples of the planet or something else. But usually when seen, they are wearing gray coats, like a uniform, and that's what she's referring to them as gray coats. So anyways, that's what she was referring to there. She's not reiterating that to you now. You just were expected to remember it, I guess. But anyway, okay, so if you don't have any questions then, Carrie kind of looks a little bit puzzled. Like, this isn't her field, remember, she's a courser. You guys are specifically the ones that go after and pick up these artifacts, but her job is to go after people that have them that shouldn't, that belong to the college because of the thrall. So it's a little bit strange for her, but she is, a senior member, really. So she kind of gives you kind of an odd look. She says, well, I guess, I'm ready to go. Is there anything you guys need to pick up before we go? Like anything from your bunks?
Do we have all of our gear?
I'm assuming that you picked it up before you went, you know what, technically you guys wouldn't, because you were supposed to be in costume. You guys didn't dress up in costume or anything for the, thing, but we can hand wave that portion of it that you would go pick up your gear specifically for Nivara. If you want to go through your prepared spells, retcon it in essentially that you kind of prepared whatever spells you wanted the night before. But if you want to look through your spells, and I think it's what, 9? Is that how many you get right now?
I think so.
And I'll mark these back to your spell slots. So go ahead and change your preparation thing. And do you remember how to do that?
Yep.
So go through and just have whichever one's prepared that you want.
Okay, second, I'll be right back.
Okay. On your actions tab, the mode at the bottom, change that to preparation.
Oh.
There you go. And then just uncheck any of the ones that you're not taking. I think it's 9 total. I'll check for you actually while you're doing that. But just put the, fill in the circle for the spells you want to bring. Wisdom modifier plus your druid level. Yep. Alright, so you are 6, 10 is your wisdom modifier is plus 4, so you get 10 prepared spells.
Okay.
Keep in mind too that Ketis doesn't have, he's kind of neutered at the moment, so prepare as you will for whatever, any things you might want, but he doesn't have much special ability anymore. He's kind of, basically all of his cool stuff has been ripped away.
Oh god, I forgot about that.
Yep. So he might be, taking a beating a little bit too, but he probably won't be able to dish out very much damage either, if that becomes important. And the place is on fire, you know that, so... All right. So while Becky's going over those, you guys, pick up your gear. Carrie leads you back to the teleportation chamber. Rodalt, the guard there, the one that gave you the swig of rum, I think, when you guys first came up. He mentions you guys are kind of in a rush, but as you guys rush in, he mentions that the director already gave him instructions. The teleport's already ready to go. He says you should arrive just outside of the blast radius. And then he kind of, you move over to the center, kind of stand near each other, and he presses something on his bracer, and the kind of familiar blue circle snaps out under your feet, and then collapses back in on you, and you guys are just flinging through kind of a bluish tinted tunnel with a light at the end of it until you just kind of blast open back up in this open field. Let me know when you're ready there, Becky. Whoops. Ignore the campfire thing.
No, that was the other one I was going to use. I knew there was one in there I was trying to find.
One spell? A spell you were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Which one?
Oh, it was Pass Without a Trace.
Oh, that is super handy. That's one of the. That's a crazy overpowered ability for sure, but super nice. In fact, actually, do you remember for Drost and Westra when you guys were going through Agermoth and you guys had that kind of stealth buff that Radoth gave you?
Yeah.
That was Pass Without Trace.
Okay, I thought it was.
Yeah, that's why you guys were able to sneak through there so efficiently without getting caught so much. When you're done, just hit the mode and change that either to standard or combat or something, so that it's when you're done with your preparation, so that it's got them listed. But you guys kind of snap open into this open field, but the scene around you is just disastrous. You look to have apparated beside a wide dirt road leading into the small town, while a steady stream of people rush by hurriedly, most of them showing terrible scorched wounds, clothing that's been burned away or fused to blackened and burned skin. The incessant din of painful screams assaults your ears, more so even than the continuing roar of flames further up the road, where a dense dome of fire seems to be smoldering with most of the town beneath it. Though it's only shortly after noon, the sky is darkened with smoke so dark that it would appear nighttime if it weren't for the sharp contrast of the blaze that's illuminating the horrible surroundings. Out of the corner of your eyes, you catch a small shadow that's flittering back and forth near and far, crisscrossing everywhere in front of and around you. But just as you're taking note of your surroundings, you see a child screaming and running towards a group of survivors nearby. There's kind of a small crowd of people nearby that are kind of screaming, and there's a few of them that are hunched over. Maybe they're trying to work with wounded. And so on, but you see a small child that's screaming and running towards them, and three small winged creatures are flitting about its head, jabbing at its face and eyes with little small spears. What do you guys do?
No, I guess we need to go in and help, right?
Yeah. Go help the little kid.
All right. I just showed you a map. Go ahead and roll initiative.
Is that little kid's name Rydia?
So I wasn't sure if you would recognize it. I kind of expected you might, but yeah, that's it's not. It's a boy actually, but
that was the music for that point
yeah.
in the game.
Yep, that's exactly the right one.
Because I was thinking, damn it, that music sounds familiar. Oh, dude, speaking of music, you know what you need to do is go get some music off of Super Metroid. That'd be some good.
So I
music
actually
for that, like some of the boss musics.
Yeah, I didn't grab those yet, but on my list of audio sessions to grab are specifically the ones from Prime, because Prime, at least 1 and 2, I never really played 3, had some really good atmospheric music. But yeah,
okay.
The Metroid series have always been fantastic, and I've got a few, basically I got a list of different games and stuff like that to grab OSTs from that I really enjoyed, stuff that would be nice set pieces, I guess, for different types of encounters and fights and things like that, or even just settings. Alright. Oops.
Oh, and does my martial adept help me out at all? Help me at all?
Not really. So, oops, he is not. There we go. It doesn't give you. Yes, basically, you still get your. It's not going to give you proficiency, but you still get your parry and riposte and trip and disarm. So you still have those. Basically, so if you go to your actions tab.
Okay.
I refilled your Stridos for you. You still have your bracer. You still have that ring, which has a fireball in it. That may not be super useful because there's such a big kind of blaze happening in this town here. But you do have fireball stored in it. That was the last spell that you cast into it. So that's still there. You still do have that longsword with the word ruin etched into it in a rune, but you don't have proficiency with it anymore. So your chance to hit with it is reduced by 3, but you can still use it. You do have your dagger and your crossbow.
Okay.
And your maneuvers still work with any of those, by the way. The maneuvers don't have to be with a longsword. You can use anything. Even at a distance, you can still try to disarm at a distance by shooting them in the hand with your crossbow, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So keep those in mind. And you still have your mobile, so you're still really fast, and as long as you try to hit something, you can get away without taking opportunity attacks, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Okay, alright, so you guys see yourselves on the board there. And yeah, you rolled your initiative. So, one of these is first. Which one is that? This one is first. It is going to flit around and jab at the kid. And hits. So the one of the imps that was kind of trailing behind swings around and just stabs right at the cheek. The kid kind of moves just in time, and it ends up poking him right in the neck. You see a little trickle of blood coming from the corner there. It is Kiedis' turn.
Okay. Then I will move in and see if I can hit number 4 there.
You try to swing it with your sword.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm turning the battle music down a little bit so I can hear you better. Oh, nice. So not only did you, so this thing's flitting around the kid, and you kind of are trying to be as careful as you can as you're running in and charging, but you don't even pause. It's up just in time that as you get close to it, and you've got your sword in one hand as you're running, it just happens to be up high enough that you can just from kind of a lunging jab at it, basically just stab straight into it, right above the kid's head. So it's up enough above the kid's head that you don't risk stabbing the kid, and it just sinks straight through this tiny little thing. Go ahead and roll your damage on it.
Okay.
It sinks straight through him, actually, and because the critical effect is not going to matter in this specific case, but it sinks straight through him, and the blade is just wide enough that where it stabbed through its small frame, these are very small, they're only about a foot tall. Yeah, these, Drost and Wester haven't seen these before, but they're basically imps. They're just small little flittering, devilish little fiends. But where it stabbed through, one of the wings just falls straight off because it just cut through whatever muscle was holding the wing on the back, and there's enough of the tissue severed away that it falls off and just kind of plummets to the floor dead. You still have your second attack.
Sweet. Then use my last movement then. And see if I have any luck on this one.
Wait, what? Oh, you didn't target him. Wait,
Oh. Okay, I was going to say, I thought I had him targeted.
It doesn't show me, like usually it should show me whether you... Oh, shit, yeah, it did. Never mind. I just didn't see it in the part before. This
Okay.
one, so you kind of stab it through the first one and fling what's left of it off of your blade, and then try to bring the blade back up to swing at the second one, and it saw what you just did, and it kind of swings one of its wings out of your swing. So it's kind of just out of the way, and the swing goes wide. It just flings up in the air. Doesn't hit him.
Okay.
That it for turn bonus action?
Yeah. No, because I think the only bonus actions I would have would be maneuvers or Stridos, and I don't need it, so... And I don't have any movement left, so...
You can free action, like if you needed to yell or anything like that, too, but yeah.
Okay,
Or
then
talk to
I
somebody.
am
Whatever.
muted.
Alright, that it for your turn then? Okay, it is Carrie's turn. This is kind of her environment in the, a little fight. She's got 30 feet, though, and I don't know if she can quite make that.
I was 35, and I was
Yeah.
above her to the right,
So
so...
she's running as fast as she can, but she's just not... She knows she's not going to be able to make it all the way there in time, so as she's running, she's cocked and loaded a quarrel into her hand crossbow, and as she's running is holding this crossbow out in front of her face, trying to aim the shot, and stops just in time to be able to take the shot, to fire at one of these guys here. And hits. The bolt, you see it actually just go straight through one of the wings of one of these little flying imps, and it just courses straight through the wing and just sails off in the distance. Looks like it hurt it pretty badly, but it doesn't appear to have killed it. It is Navarro's turn. So you've got a kid there, and one imp with a hole in its wing, and one that looks like he's fine.
20. Alright. I guess.
Carrie is, from where you're at, you can't really see the imps too well. She's really big, and Ketis is next to her, and they're both kind of blocking a lot of your view. The kid is short. You could probably aim over his head if you moved a little bit.
There.
Okay, what are you trying to do?
I guess just use a crossbow.
You moved, what, 15, 20?
Was that it? 20?
You have 30, but I don't know. I didn't pay attention to how far you moved. Was it 15 or 20?
Would have been 20.
Okay.
Alright, so then I could go there.
Sure, if you
That
want.
way she's out of the way.
Okay. And you're gonna try to shoot just fire an arrow over the kid's head?
Yeah.
Okay, and it hits.
Nice, man.
So this is the non-wounded one, the one that just jabbed the kid in the neck.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a shitty roll.
Oh, that... Dang it.
What?
I put that reroll thing on... That's on, Westra.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reroll thing is specific to the Great Weapon Master. Was it Great Weapon? It was either that or Fell-Handed. I think it was Great Weapon Master. But that would only work on two-handed weapons for her anyway, so wouldn't help to hear. But you kind of run down there as fast as you can, kind of pulling the bow as you go and stringing it and pulling, or knocking it, or stringing it and just pulling it taut. As soon as you get to kind of where you've got a free shot where you know you can make it over the kid's head without hitting him, you release the arrow and it sails through and it slices through the leg of one of these, and you see the leg just fall flat to the ground. And this thing is just flitting there with kind of every time it beats its wings, just another gout of blood sprays out of that missing leg. Doesn't appear to be dead, but it does look like it wounded it pretty badly. Any bonus actions or anything?
No, because I only have one attack on Navarra, right?
In her humanoid form, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you were in a wild shape form, then you'd have other options. You do have your bonus actions for things like Shillelagh, your healing word. As far as stuff you prepared, it looks like that's it for those. Okay. The child is screaming and is kind of seeing you guys coming to help, is going to try to run around you because there's basically adults nearby that the kid is going to try to hide behind. The kid does not know how opportunity attacks work, however, is going to try to run and hide behind the
Fucking
behind
moron, dude. What's wrong with this kid?
Yeah, what a retarded little kid doesn't know about opportunity attacks.
Kid's fucking dumb shit.
But so the imp that had just jabbed him in the neck and then just got shot through and is now missing a leg is going to try to poke at the kid as he's running away again. And hits. The kid is bleeding very badly and looks in really bad shape. But it got basically the kid kind of tries to run around Carrie, but gets jabbed right in the back by one of these little foot-long spears, and they just these bleeding from multiple spots. The kind of simple townsfolk kind of clothing just has multiple spots of red all over it, where these things have just been stabbing at him over and over again with these itty-bitty little pinpricks. He's still alive, and he does make it around Carrie though. It is this one's turn, and it just got shot by Carrie, is going to move here specifically. They're not necessarily the smartest. It is going to fly in at Carrie, trying to make its way back over towards the kid, but is going to try to stab at Carrie in the meantime, and hits. So she, where her arm was just extended with this crossbow and fired at him, it kind of turns towards her and just with this itty bitty little spear just comes up and jabs into her hand. Just pokes her straight into the hand with it. That is it for its turn. You're back to the top of the round, and actually, both of you, Nivara more than Ketis, because Ketis, you're kind of focused on this little, melee in front of you going on here. Nivara, you hear a roiling, the kind of sound that a bonfire might make coming from the north of you, and when you hear this, you kind of turn and look over there, and you see this kind of swelling, swirling form that is partially black like ash, and the rest of it is just this roiling fire. It looks very much like the edge of lava, like when you see a video of a lava flow in Hawaii or whatever, where part of it is cooled and part of it is still fiery. You know what I'm talking about? That's what you're looking at here. It looks like that. It looks like moving lava that is constantly cooling and then moving and cooling and kind of remelting itself as it moves. That is up north of you there. But it is the imp's turn here. It is going to flit around and try to stab at Carrie also, because she's the closest one to it. It flies in, and where Carrie just got jabbed in the hand, she kind of yanks her hand away and makes like a kind of a sound, like like a just burned herself kind of a sound. And the one that's poking at her just kind of stabs into open air right in front of her where this is. That thing is up there. Now that specifically when Nivara noticed it anyway, is going to. You see that the whole area, by the way, is just lighted. So there's a row of trees right behind it. And it looks like it just kind of came up out of those. And the trees themselves are kind of catching fire and lighting up now. But the area is just inflamed. It is going to move towards you. It is just enough movement to get to you. It actually had 5 more, but as it's kind of swimming across the ground almost with this lava-ish form and leaving this dark trail of burning grass, like long dead grass, but still lit up because it's kind of old, hay-like. But it comes with both arms, if it had such a thing, up and outraised, and it is kind of putting them together in a big fist above its head, and then is going to slam it down on you. And it hits. And you make a dex save. You need to beat a 13.
Damn.
Did not make the save. So where it brings it down on you, it just happened to have caught into your hair a little bit. So the hands kind of pass through you, but this like wave of this burning lava just soaks into your hair and starts to catch fire, and you are immolated. And until this goes out, you take 1d10 per round. Let me look at it again real quick here. You can take an action to put it out, but basically you're on fire at the moment, and we'll take 1d10 per round. We'll go ahead and just, since it's just the two of you, we'll count it as a bonus action, so you need to spend a bonus action to put it out on your turn.
Okay, so then I'll use that for my bonus action, and then I'm going to...
It's not your turn yet.
Oh, what?
Sorry.
No!
You're just on fire. You're just going to be on fire for a second here. But that is it for its turn. It is Ketis' turn.
Okay.
You basically just saw this kind of glowing lava monster go and club Nivara in the face, and she's kind of catching fire. You've got these 2 flitting imps right in front of you and this kid beside.
Alright, let's see if I can hit number 3 again here. Come on. Damn it.
And it goes wide. Yeah, it does not hit.
Okay. Guess I'll try one more time. Yeah, don't got much else to do. There we go.
That one does. So where you kind of swing back, and by the way, I took away the two-handed bonus because since you're not proficient, you can't get the bonus from being two-handed. But you can still try to swing two-handed. Not that it matters, just narratively. But you kind of, where your swings had missed earlier, that upswing, you kind of bring your other hand to it to kind of guide your swing just to make sure that you're going to get it, and you bring it down in a downward strike straight through it and miss the first one, but you kind of use the momentum of that to swirl yourself around and swing it back through them, cutting straight through the small little thing there. Go ahead and roll your damage. And that's it. It only had one left, and you did two. So, but where you bring the strike back up through it using the momentum, it just cleaves it right in half, and the two halves of it just splatter on the ground in front of you. That one's toast.
Okay.
Bonus action or anything?
Now, using a Stridos on somebody else has to be full action, bonus action, right?
Yeah, Stridos on someone else is a
Okay.
full action. You do have your movement still and a bonus action. You could... I'll just put it as that. I'll just leave it at that. You do have your bonus action and your movement still.
Okay.
And Navarro's
Is
on fire.
metas? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, all right. Would that be like a medicine check or something?
To put the fire out?
Yeah.
No, I'm just going to use your bonus action. Basically, just the same way that you would stop, drop, and roll, except you're going to throw,
Okay.
you're going to throw a cloth, like your bag or something over them, and they just pat, 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 pat until the fire goes out.
Okay. Then. All right. Sorry. What should I roll then? Or do I need to roll?
There's no
anything?
roll. It's just a bonus action.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
For something, usually, like if you say you were restrained with ropes or something like that, if it's just an action to do it, then you don't necessarily need to roll. Most times it's... For most things, this isn't always true. For most things, if it's something like a save, it's just the one roll, and she failed her dex save to avoid getting caught on fire. So that was it. I'm not going to make another roll for it, if that makes sense. If it's just an action to put it out, then that's all it is. You still have to spend something because you have to spend your bonus action to do it. But otherwise, you could theoretically sit here just trying to roll over and over again while she keeps burning to death. Know what I mean?
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah.
So.
In this
Cool.
particular case, that's all. So that if your turn.
Yes.
Okay.
Because moving 5 feet ain't gonna save anything. So.
Yeah. It does leave you in range of him, but
Well,
he
all right,
catch you
all right.
anyways. It's up to you.
Yeah.
You didn't. Never mind, because you didn't try to hit him. So if you do try to move out of the way, he will get an opportunity attack.
Yeah. Well then, never mind. Because I don't have any hits left.
Okay. Right.
I'm due.
Yeah. So you kind of you cleave through this one. You see that there's just one little thing left, and Carrie's a big burly half orc, so you can kind of expect that she's going to take care of this thing. But as you look over and see that Navarro's just gotten clubbed in the head by a lava monster, you go running over there to try to help her. And you kind of just throw your you're not wearing a cloak, but you throw your bag over the top of her head and start patting it out to get the fire off of her. She's going to be missing some hair, but that's what long rests are for. But Carrie is going to use her action to she kind of puts her hand crossbow back on the belt, just clips it to the belt, and unsheathes her short sword, and with the unsheathing motion, just the same motion, just pulling it out of the sheath, and just tries to swing it up through this little remaining imp here, and hits. And cuts straight through it. She has well, you guys have seen her carrying this before, but she's got a special, that's how I'll put it, short sword. But cleaves straight through it, and you see that the gleam off of it is a little bit of a greenish color almost. But that imp is toast. She kind of spins herself around, still holding the short sword, and uses her offhand, her open hand, to try to push the kid behind her. We'll just count that as her bonus action. Does not move at the moment. Actually, she pushes the kid behind, and moves in a little ways, because I'm going to use that as part of it, but not all the way. You do notice that, in fact, there was that crowd of people nearby. Remember? You guys saw a crowd of people, and this is where the kid was running towards. As this happens, a woman that's in the crowd of survivors, wearing a tattered and burned brown robe, she calls out to the terrified boy. She says, "Carp, over here quickly." And then Carrie kind of runs over towards that. So the kid, it's not his turn, but he's potentially going to be running over towards that. It is Navarro's turn.
We met Carp before, right? That's the fish kid.
No, Ketis and
Didn't we
Navarro
get
have never
info
been
from
here
Carp?
before.
Ah.
No.
Oh,
but
was that the other two?
Drust and Wester did.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ketis and Navarro have never been to Phandalin. This is all new to them.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a question. So, like, the B is bonus action, C is concentration. What's R?
R,
Reaction.
Yeah, R is reaction. So if you were being hit or something else, you can use your reaction to cast that.
Like parry.
Okay.
Yeah, so parry or riposte are both reactions. If you're talking about the shield, are you looking at your shield?
Yeah.
So that was the bracer upgrade that you chose, and what that is if you're getting hit, you can choose to use that as your reaction. It'll add 5 to your AC, and then hopefully that attack would then miss, meaning you would never have taken any damage at all because you've as soon as basically something narratively, as soon as something swings at you, you press this button on your bracer, a big bubble shield pops up out of you and knocks the attack away.
Okay. And I only get to use that once every short rest?
No, I think that one is... hang on, let me look at the notes. That's if you click the notes button, or if you go to library and then notes. I put your bracer upgrades things in there. The bracer upgrade sheets is... Shield is once a day, so once for a long rest.
Okay.
That might upgrade later, but for now it's once for a long rest. Oops.
Alright, well, we're gonna use Tidal Wave. So, is that just the cast or the attack?
What do you mean?
If
Oh,
I'm
sorry,
gonna use
which one
Tidal
you're going to
Wave.
use? Let's see. Conjure up a wave of water that crashes down an open area within range. Area can be 30 feet long, 10 feet wide, 10 feet tall. There are people all around here. So that might be, I guess depending on where you're aiming it, just keep that in mind so you don't just wash out all of these poor people that are just trying to survive from this fire. On a failure,
Alright,
creature takes
and
48
there-
bludgeoning and is knocked prone. Okay, so basically this thing will make a dex save.
Okay.
So you use the cast, your DC on it is 15, meaning he needs to make a dex save and beat a 15 to not be knocked prone. I think it takes half damage on a success, right? Yeah, it takes half as much damage on a success and is not knocked prone, but otherwise it would be knocked prone and take 4d8 damage. Where you're standing, if you were facing it north, here, let me draw on the map, the crowd is that way, so to the southeast, and that's where the kid is running. So if you aimed it to the north, you don't see any people there. You do see that copse of trees that this thing just came out of. But yeah, I mean, you could theoretically point it north and not hit anybody.
Okay. So then, yeah, we'll try that.
Okay.
So is it cast or...
Yeah, go ahead and hit the cast, target him, and then hit the cast. Oh, nice. Natural 20. No, sorry. Shit, I'm sorry.
No, what?
That's not nice for you. That was nice that he rolled the Geist's save. He rolled a natural 20 on it, which they don't, mobs in this case don't. It's something like a save. It's not. It doesn't mean they don't take any damage. He still takes half damage. He's just not knocked prone. So you kind of you hold your hands out towards him, just infuriated that this thing just clubbed you in the head, and your hair was just on fire. Maybe you spent a little extra time making it nice today. Now it's all fiery. It smells bad, but you kind of hold both of your hands there, or have the hands out in front of you, and kind of stop and focus for a second, just trying to calm yourself in this disastrous moment here, and try to summon up the surrounding moisture that's in the air until it kind of flows up underneath you, and you just kind of throw it out in front of you as this wave smashes this thing into the face, or in its face, and then rolls out behind it. It's a massive wave. I mean, we're talking it was 10 feet diameter, so I think it was 10 feet, wasn't it? Yeah, whatever. So there's everything inside of it. Okay. Carrie sidesteps, just she was not in the cast of it anyway, since it would be a frontal cone, but it did hit this thing for sure and washes straight over it. And you notice where, as it's passing through it, it's where it was this kind of rolling black and bright orange, where it's kind of constantly cooling and then warming. It's just covered in steam, and it's just a black solid pillar for a second as your wave just passes over it and steam comes boiling off of it. Definitely hurt it. Go ahead and roll your damage. Still hurt it pretty good. I mean, it isn't in too rough of a shape yet, but it definitely hurt it pretty good as this is rolling over. But a moment after the wave passes, it kind of continues into the center of the village and just keeps rolling for a little ways. Towards the dome, really. It kind of passes over it, and then you see the things start to crack and open up, and then the movement, it just starts again. It's just this big swirling lava continuing to move. But if your turn.
Yeah, I think that's it for this time.
Okay. The kid is just going to continue to run. There's nothing else kind of blocking its egress, so it's just going to make its way towards the crowd. Go ahead and remove the pointer. It is this thing's turn. It did not get its touch back. The thing to light you on fire, especially where the waves just rolled over it, it doesn't look like it's kind of at full capacity just yet. It is now going to kind of swing an open slash almost, really, where it's just going to try to swing its hand, for lack of a better term, its appendage of lava through both of you, in kind of an open swing, since you're both kind of nearby it. Let me target you guys. Nivara, it goes swinging towards you, and you still had your hands kind of out, and you don't have time to really jump out of the way. But Ketis, you kind of see this coming, and you just duck so that this wave of lava just kind of goes straight over your head and doesn't hit you. You could, if you wanted to here, use your reaction for your shield on Nivara if you wanted to.
Yeah, actually, I think I will.
Okay. It rolled a 17 on you. So normally I wouldn't tell you this, but basically it rolled a 17. If you use your shield, it will boost your AC by 5. So in this specific case, if you use your AC is 16, he rolled a 17. If you use your shield, it would make your AC 21. The attack would miss. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and mark off your shield. Did you mark off your spell slot? You did. Okay. Cool. All right. So instead, basically, where this arm comes flinging through, you see, and you still had both of your hands kind of out in front of you, outstretched, two wide open palms, or palms out, and you see that this thing's about to swing at you, and you just take your right hand and reach over and just slap this button on your left wrist. And this is the first time you've really gotten to use this in kind of a hectic moment like this. You're kind of proud of yourself at this moment when you smash this button and you see this big blue bubble just kind of explode out from you, and smack this thing a little bit just because it's so close. And its hand just kind of rolls over it, and you see this just kind of spray of lava that's just instantly cooling as soon as it touches the shield. Kind of spray of gravel almost, basically, kind of cascading over this bubble, and then the bubble disappears and the rocks just go flying in all directions. And you don't take any damage. You marked off your bracer, cool. That's it for its turn. It is Ketis' turn.
Okay.
It was cooled already from her tidal wave from Navara's tidal wave that rolled over it. It looks to be, it's gotten beat up. It's not dead yet.
Okay. Then well, that's not gonna help. Yeah. Alright, then I guess I'm just gonna see if I can hit this one bitch. So.
Tripping would knock it prone. If you were just looking for options, you could try to trip it, which would knock it prone, which would give everybody advantage on melee. But that's up to you.
That's actually a good idea.
It does extra damage too, if it does hit.
Okay, now do I roll to see if I hit first?
Yeah, you just roll to see if the attack hits.
Okay. Come on. Yes.
And it does. So you see this whole thing happen, this bubble that just popped up out of Nivara, and you kind of duck down just in time. And as you're coming back up from the duck, you're slashing your blade out in front of you towards the arm of this thing, the kind of appendage that had just crashed over this bubble. And you slash straight through it, but in a kind of an advancing form, you kind of are pushing yourself towards it. And as it's starting to kind of back away from you from this slash, it doesn't have legs, but it kind of trips over itself, essentially. Just falls into a puddle on the ground. Go ahead and hit the trip attack. See the second one that says damage 1d6. Click on that.
Okay.
And then go ahead and roll damage.
Come on. Not
There
bad.
you go. That's good. Really good hit, actually, for you not having your powers anymore.
Yeah.
So where you slash through it and it kind of fell into this puddle on the ground, it almost instantly starts to cool into just this kind of disc almost of puddled molten rock, just flat there on the ground, and you see all the surrounding grass around it is kind of slowly catching fire and starting to kind of make this little fiery ring with the disc in the center. You have another attack.
Okay. Now, do I need to do anything else, or is he already prone? Do I need to do any other effects?
He's already prone. Oh shit! Technically, he's supposed to be immune to prone. I did not realize that. I'm not going to take it away. I'm not going to take it away because I already told you. He. Go ahead and just put it on advantage. Then is what we'll do. Because normally you would have advantage on a melee attack against it since it's laying down. The prone effect didn't work on it because it's supposed to be immune to prone. But I'm just going to ignore that because I already told you it did. So go ahead.
Okay, so just roll a hit with advantage for my if I do my second hit. Okay. Win. All right. Cool. Sweet. Good thing I had advantage.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a puddle of rock on the ground, but you're kind of, it hasn't moved, but you don't trust that it's dead, so you just kind of take your blade and just swing it upside down, so now you've got basically both hands holding it with a downward pointed blade and just jab it into the rock into the ground.
Okay.
And you stab through it, and, oh good, okay, cool. I wasn't sure if that shows anymore, but either way, you kind of stab into the center of this thing, and you kind of have to work the blade back and forth a little bit, trying to yank it back out, almost a sword in the stone kind of a moment, but it kind of slowly gives, and as you pull the blade finally out where the hole is, you know where you might cut into meat that you're cooking to see what color it is? Same kind of thing here, except that where you're pulling it away, there's just no lava left inside. It looks like it's stopped moving, and it looks like it's just dead.
Okay, cool.
Now back to the Viridia village.
Back to mist.
Yeah.
Not mist, but mist.
Yeah, not mist, but the other mist.
Yeah.
Alright.
Alright, we need to go check on that kid. Patch him up a bit.
So you guys look over, as you guys are kind of, you know, that kid was running over towards the crowd. Carrie's kind of chokes a cough because the place is just filled with smoke. Like, you guys are just surrounded by not even just smoke, but smoke where there's debris in the air from, you know, houses that are burning nearby, and there's just bits of, like, you know, there's just very charred, thin pieces of wood, maybe paper, things like that. There's just this debris floating through the air constantly. So Carrie kind of chokes a little bit, chokes out a cough before yanking out a strip of brown cloth from her bag, and she ties it around her face to cover her mouth. She says, "Fuck, guys, this is kind of over my head. What should we do?" You did see the kid run over to the group of people over there.
Alright, you want to go check out the kid?
I couldn't hear that, what?
I said, do you want to go check out the kid?
So you guys are kind of next to each other, but you couldn't hear her through the headset or through the...
No, I had to run back to the bedroom real quick and get the laundry basket.
I forgot you guys
washing
have
towels.
each other.
So.
Yeah, you guys have each other muted in there anyway. Never mind, I forgot
Yeah,
about that.
yeah. So when I walk away, I can't hear what you're saying. So.
Gotcha. All right, so but you look over to the group of survivors there nearby. You see a middle-aged woman that as soon as the kid runs up, she kind of, you know, throws her arms around him and kind of holds him. It's a middle-aged woman in torn and burned brown robes. Seems to be kind of directing the group there. I think I had... Let me find her. Hang on. Oh, never mind. I thought I had the image, but I don't. But she kind of throws her arms around him and then kind of ushers him away to get him into the crowd where, you know, maybe in the middle of the crowd where it'd be safer. But yeah, the group of survivors are nearby. She's kind of looking towards you, you know, expecting you're approaching, basically trying to see what was happening there, kind of thing. You guys are approaching them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you guys are approaching the brown robed, she looks like a priestess of some kind. You hear a girl in the crowd that's wailing out a sorrowful cry. A nearby elderly man puts a comforting arm around the sobbing girl as a small, bald halfling walks up to the priestess and gently touches her elbow to draw her attention. And you're getting close enough you can hear him. He says this kind of quietly, but he says, Barthen, in a mournful tone. He says he didn't make it. The brown-robed woman gazes to the ground, not making eye contact, and then nods subtly. The small man walks back in towards the crowd. Roll perception, please. Both of you.
Okay. Damn it.
Shadow dice. Oh, nice. Okay. So this has become almost regular by now that Navarro's sharp, elven eyes are catching things. You looking around, you notice that there's a flitting shadow. You've seen it already when you guys first saw it, or when you first got here. You noticed this thing flying around. But you're seeing this streak of shadow just flitting back and forth all over the place, and it's going from house to house, and it's going back and forth, like close to you, and then further away, and then around, like left and right, all over the place. But you see this flitting shadow fly straight into the center of the crowd before flying away almost as rapidly, just a blur of backlit, or shadow backlit by these grievous faces of all the people in the crowd here. The brown-robed woman turns to the three of you, with Carrie there. She says, "I saw your teleportation ring. Were you sent to help?"
Yeah, that's why we're here.
She says, I'm Garail. I ran the shrine in town. We're gathering the wounded here. Please, whatever you can do, please do it. Any survivors you find, please send them here."
Okay, we'll do that.
She looks around and looks up towards the center of town. They're by the way in the middle of town here. There's just this giant fiery dome, and it's covering almost the entire town. So there's just this solid wall dome of flames that you can't see through. And it's taking up almost the whole town here. There's just constant pillar of smoke coming up off of it, and that's most likely what you were seeing the pillar of smoke from when you were up at the college. But looking off to the side of it a bit, where the cloud is not covering, you see Garail kind of look towards that. She says, Ander and Thistle went to the water tower to try and break it open. They're up there. If you can help, just whatever you can do, please, just help at least get this fire out. Whatever we can do. What do you do?
All right. Go see if we can help get the fire out, or go help with wounded people first.
I guess we better go see if we can't get the fire out first.
Okay. All right, G, we need to go find the house where all the fire rods are stored at that are burning. So, and then we'll go get rid of those, and then the fire will stop. Well, actually, the boss is going to be in there, and then we'll fight the boss, and then
Wait a minute.
it'll be over.
There was no boss there, was there?
That was Final Fantasy on 6th. There was that
Oh
like,
shit! Okay, yeah,
flame eater, whatever
yep,
it was.
Yep, you're right. I forgot about that one. I was thinking, okay, because in 4,
It was easy. But...
Yeah, in 4 there was no boss fight there. There was just that scene. But in 6, yeah, there was
Yeah.
a village that was on fire, and then all the villagers apparently know how to cast ice or something, and they cast it over
Yeah.
the roofs and shit. Yeah, forgot
Where
about that.
Strago and that
was Strago,
dumb
yeah.
kid were from.
Yep, in Realm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
One of the worst characters ever.
yeah, the mechanics were fun. I liked his special abilities were cool, but yeah.
Yeah.
roll
No,
your-
the kid.
Oh, the kid was awful. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Strong was just fun. All right, roll another perception, both of you. Not with that roll. Ketis specifically here in this moment, basically, while Navarro was chatting with the brown, well, chatting's probably not a good word in this situation, but when she was talking with the brown-robed woman here, you're holding your hands out, just kind of looking at all the soot and ash that you're already covered in. You basically, like, you guys are covered in this stuff already. You've only been here probably less than a minute at this point. But looking around, you kind of, as you're looking down, you kind of feel this wind kind of blowing past, and you notice that it's been blowing this whole time, and it feels definitely unnatural. It feels like something is holding this wind here, and maybe that's what is kind of helping this dome in the way that, or keeping the fire moving, that kind of thing. Definitely feels unnatural, though. You're also, just as you're kind of taking a second to focus there, you're also hearing constant repeated explosions coming from the center of town, probably inside of that dome. But anyways, yeah. So that was as Navarro was having the discussion with Sister Garail. So, all right, you guys are heading where? To the tower?
Yeah, because they said there was a water tower, right?
She told you that 2 kids, Ander and Thistle, which Kitas and Evara don't know. Ander and Thistle were Barthen's helpers. Remember with Drost and Westra? They're kind of teenage kids, teenage boys, that were running up to the water tower to try to, presumably to break the tower open or something. You don't really know, but that's what she told you, yes. So that's where you're heading.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
What do you think, Goody?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as you guys are making your way there, Carrie's kind of keeping herself covered as much as possible, and kind of she keeps having to wipe her eyes, to pull the shit out of her eyes, just to be able to see. You guys are kind of having to do the same thing as you run through. You're kind of making your way around this giant glowing dome, and just the heat is just so intense that you keep having to kind of shield your eyes just from that and kind of wipe the sweat away, which is leaving these disgusting black streaks all over your face and all over your hands from the soot. Two different occasions as you're passing, you see another of those flitting little imps flitting around, and both times Carrie just takes aims a shot with her hand crossbow, and takes a shot, and both of them just fall instantly dead. They're tiny little creatures anyway. With they're going to go, and she's kind of taking the time to really make the shot count. But you guys make your way up to up the hill, and up here you see up the hill a little ways. You see like a broken down old mansion on top of a hill, and a water tower right next to it. Looks like the water tower is probably meant to feed the mansion and not really the town, but it is close by, and you're kind of seeing it up in the distance as you're coming up the hill a little ways. You do see one person at the base of the tower that looks like maybe he's trying to climb it, and as you get closer and closer, you see you're making your way up the hill a little ways, trying to rush as much as you can. It looks to be a teenage boy, probably 15, 16-ish, dark brown hair. Looks like he's working on a farm. And it looks like he's trying to make his way up the base of the tower here. But basically, you see, this tower has 4 tall pillars. There's no apparent ladder. There's one further up, but it doesn't look like you can get to it. But 4 tall beams, basically big wooden beams. Think of them like light poles, like an electric light pole. With this kind of big square block of wood sitting on top of it. And that's where you're at. So you approach this scene, you see a kid trying to climb it. He looks like he's only a couple feet up. He looks like he's probably fallen down a couple times and keeps trying over and over again. What do you do?
Alright, well, we need to get up inside of it, so go see if we can help the kid get up in there.
Okay, so you walk up to the base of the tower there. He notices you. He says, "Guys, can you boost me?" And you look up, and it's too high. I mean, the tower is up 25 feet, let's say, and he's not making. I mean, he's 3 or 4 feet off the ground, and then it looks like he's either slipping back off. Maybe it's just maybe it's either too slippery or just nothing to hold on to. But it doesn't look like there's anything to grasp the side of these tree trunks. Basically, think of them like 4 tree trunks that are holding this tower up. He says, "What can we do? What can we do? Do you have any ideas?"
So, am I tall enough to boost him if I give him assistance?
Just looking at it, his height plus yours would still not be close enough. You would be almost halfway, or probably about halfway, really, if you were to boost him up the whole way.
If we look around, is there anything? Well, I guess that'd be a big thing to carry or move us. There's nothing to move that we could stand on that would get us up high enough.
You look around. I mean, there's the broken down mansion nearby, but it's not. There's not really anything, out in front of it. Roll an investigation check. That was a good call. I was surprised. Well, not surprised, I guess, but it was amusing to me that you recognized the song.
Hell yeah.
So you look around, and actually, as soon as you kind of look back and forth, you don't see anything. You look back again at the same spot, and you finally notice this. There is a wagon that looks like it's it's up at this kind of broken down mansion. It looks like it's full of rocks, but the wheels look to be intact. I mean, it's not aimed this way. You could probably move it over.
All right. I'm gonna see if I can start moving it this way towards the tower.
So Carrie looks over there. She says, "Well, I mean, you're gonna need help. That thing looks heavy. I can come with and help. But what are we gonna do when we get that wagon over here?"
If we get the wagon, shit, I don't know. Carry on the base, me on top of her, kid on top of me. I don't know if we.
Well,
We
even
keep
then,
it
I mean,
stable,
even,
huh?
she says even if we can get up there to the tower, it's not like there's a spigot. I mean, what are we going to do?
Can we ram the tower with the?
Yeah, and knock it off the stilts.
Yeah.
Or would it break if we do that?
She looks over there. She says, "Well, I mean, it's full of rocks and it's up a hill a little ways. I mean, if we turned it, maybe we could turn it this direction and just give it a good shove down the hill. Maybe it would crash into the thing, knock it down. It's worth a shot."
Let's try.
All right, so you guys hoof it over there. The kid comes with you. He says, "I'm Ander, by the way. Let's see what we can do. But let's try it as fast as we can. I haven't seen my friend, and I think he's in there." And he just kind of looks down towards the dome. You make your way over to it. The wagon is definitely turned the wrong direction, and it is very heavy. Like you can tell even just by looking at it, it's extremely heavy. It's kind of up the slope just a little ways, where like a driveway would essentially be if this was modern. But you see the kind of wagon full of rocks there. You're going to try to rotate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you all get on one end of it and try to push it, basically, to try to, because it's not like there's a steering wheel, basically. You'd have to slowly turn it, and so, which means you'd have to push it for a long distance. But you kind of all get to one side of it and start to push. Go ahead and both of you roll a strength check. We'll do one for Carrie here. Nice. Yeah, so as tough as you expected it to be, it looks like these wheels are in really good shape. This wagon has been well tended, despite the mansion being mostly broken down. You kind of push at it as best you can, and Ketis is just on one end of it and kind of force it into, Navarro's on one end of it, rather, and is pushing it one corner and just trying to instead of pushing straight, is kind of pushing it to one side, essentially, and the wagon starts to just slowly rotate. You still got to push it about 15 feet, but you make it around this kind of curve to where it's really not perfect, but it's in a good spot, basically, to get it where you need it to go. And in fact, actually, Carrie and Ander have to stand in front of it to keep it from rolling down, because it is now sitting kind of up on this slope a little ways.
I guess we can give it a let it go when we're ready, right? If it's aimed right, if we think it's aimed right.
Yeah.
Carrie's kind of gritting her teeth. She says, "I don't know. It may not be enough to just let it go. Like, we should probably get behind it and all just shove as fast as we can."
Yeah, maybe get behind it and all of us give it a good fucking good push.
Okay, so she is standing there holding it, and she's still through gritted teeth. She says to the boy, she says, "You go get behind it. I don't want you getting rolled over. Just go get behind it. I'm going to hold it, and then as soon as I yell go, everybody pushes from that side, and I'm going to jump out of the way, try to get back there and push with you, okay?"
Cool.
She says, "On three." Yeah, she rolled a natural 20. She says, "On three," and then you guys kind of all collect behind it, and put your hands on the back of this cart, which has the solid part, thankfully. The rocks are on the front. So there's a solid spot for you to kind of get your feet dug into the dirt as best you can, and put your whole weight into the back of this thing. She goes 1, 2, and then jumps out of the way. Go ahead and roll a strength check, both of you. Nice. So Navarra gives it just a heave-ho, just a real strong shove. Ketis, for some reason, you still just don't quite feel yourself. You're putting your hands against this, and you see the burn mark on the back of your hand where the rune had been, and it is just kind of faded now a little bit from the scarring where Odin's burn was on the back of your hand. But you're looking at your hands against the back of this thing, and that just kind of distracts you. You just don't give it as much of a shove as you would like. But between Ander and Navarra and Carrie kind of just jumps out of the way just in time and lets it come to her. She doesn't try to run behind. She just, as it's kind of rolling down the hill, and she just gets in behind it and just shoves it as hard as she can. And she had a natural 20. But she gives it a good shove, and between the four of you anyway, just push this with all your might down the hill, and enough between that and gravity, it goes rolling straight down the hill and towards these beams. It's going straight at them, and just as it's crashed into it, the beam which is closer to you, which is further from the fire, it goes barreling straight through that, and it's just not, there's not enough of an impediment to slow it down, so it barrels through the first beam and then through the second, and that's just enough that it is now sitting on two beams on one side, and instead of it doesn't crash through 4, it only crashes through the 2. But there's nothing supporting it on the other side anymore, so it slowly starts to timber over, like watching a tree falling that's a tree cutting, like a lumberjack. And it crashes itself down on the edge of the hill here and just explodes in this massive tidal wave. This is the second time you've seen a tidal wave today, which is probably the first time in your life you've ever seen a tidal wave before, and yet you've now seen 2 in the same day. Goes exploding down the hill and just rolling down through the what were streets basically, but now these burned down houses and everything, and just crashes into the sides of this massive fiery dome. The roiling wall of fire that surrounded the center of town bursts into clouds of thick steam, obscuring your vision and bathing you in a scalding hot mist that sticks to your skin painfully. You guys are up a little ways from it, but this cloud is just massive as it just roils out from it, bigger than the smoke cloud really, but it's kind of going out rather than up, but obscuring your vision before the natural wind, the unnatural wind rather, that's been swirling around begins to slowly thin it out. From where the dome previously stood, you hear a faint leaf, this is coming from down the ways, but there's enough moisture in the air that the sound carries. You hear a distantly familiar young woman's voice shout in alarm, "No, don't let him escape!" Before another fire blast explodes from just beyond the curtain of steam. What do you do?
Actually, this is really bad timing, but I have to go bring some towels downstairs, so I'll be back in a couple minutes. Is that alright?
Alright, let's take a quick break then.
Okay.
Yeah, that is awful timing. Wait to just do it right, an important part.
And then what do you do on the very climactic part? I go AFK.
Yeah, I go put some towels in the laundry is what I do.
That's right. Before they burn up. So. Alright, we got back to you.
Alright, quick break. back. Let me know what you guys are. Mister, stop it.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Yo.
Hello?
Yep. Ben not back yet?
Not just yet.
Ew.
Yo. I had the wrong keys on the party tracker. Alright, that's fixed.
Damn that imposter.
Alright, don't forget you guys still have inspiration too.
Oh yeah.
Alright, you guys both back? Ready to go?
Yeah.
Cool. Alright, so you guys are up the hill. You just watched the water tower collapse and tip over like a timber tree and cause this massive tidal wave that rolled over the dome. And the dome walls came down, and it's now just a massive, filling the entire center of town, this massive cloud of thick steam.
All right, then. Is it safe to go down to where that was and see if anybody else needs help?
Well, safe may be the wrong question, but I mean...
All right, well, all right, let's try to get closer to it and see if it, gets too hot. So,
all right, so as you make your way down towards the base of the hill here, towards where the wall... Remember, this dome was massive. It was covering almost the entire town. So this little driveway, essentially, you walked up of dirt. As soon as you go past it, basically, you're towards the edge of where the dome is. And you make your way down there. You see this kind of cloud of steam obscuring so much of your vision, rather, that you can't see for very far, about 10-15 feet. And as you're kind of making your way towards the center of this, where you're hearing this booms and that vaguely familiar voice that was yelling, you kind of taking step after step, and then you notice that on this one step, your boots, your shoes or boots clink against something that doesn't sound like the step before it did. You step towards the steam clouds, or your boot clink against something new. Where one step before your feet stood on burned grass and dirt, your footfalls now land on something smooth. You look down, and it's vaguely obscured, but you can see the ground below has been changed. Through the fog, you see a flat, polished black glass, like the firestorm had melted everything under the dome down into this glossy, sleek stone. Neither of you had ever visited Vandalin before, of course, but you look out over the horizon, you can picture where businesses and buildings should have been, where now remains only the flat and black, perfectly round glass disc on the ground beneath you. It's basically an open horizon except for this mist. You see one small house on the far side of the black glass that you can just barely make out, that apparently had been halfway inside the dome, and a sheared off crosscut of the home now shows you where an outer wall had been cut away by the firestorm, leaving what remains still smoldering but cut down the middle. In the center of this disc, where the dome had been, you can just barely make out two figures, both wreathed in flame, glowing through the fog. Let me turn that down a little bit. There we go. Glowing through the fog. Back and forth, you see orbs of boiling light glow in the steam that are hurling from one figure to the other before exploding in a cacophonous blast, and then another rather being returned to the opposite direction. As you get closer, you can finally begin to see small details of the two figures. One of them looks to be a young woman, face twisted in snarling fury, and the other an older man covered in horrible blackened and cracked skin, looking up from under a deep red cloak. I'm sharing the two images. The two are exchanging gouts of flame back and forth, but neither seem to be affected by the blasts. Each explosion roils around them, shaking the ground, makes your ears rattle, but they continue on. The girl... Dogs, stop it. Stop. Sorry. The girl snarling a hateful guttural rage with each lobbed bolt, while the blackened skinned man stands almost still, absorbing the blast with minimal outward effort, before throwing a dismissive gesture with one hand that sends a wave of conflagration over the obsidian floor and through the poor woman. The man seems unmoved by your sudden appearance, but the girl's features turn to shock and surprise when she sees you. Ketis, Nye? What are you... But just then you see a bright flame streak through the space between the two combatants, striking the woman square in the face. It erupts around her, knocking her off her feet and flat onto the black glass. Roll initiative. All right. Another map to share. This one is kind of big. So you're going to need to mostly be zoomed, but what you're seeing is top down. Most of the village has been burned away and turned into this black disc. You understand what you're seeing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you have... I don't know how to word this. Do you have an idea or a question of what you're seeing?
No. I mean, the two of them were shooting each other with fire, neither one of them taking very much damage and burning everything random, and assuming that's Alice, right? No, I don't know if these two would know Alice, but... Does
Yes.
Alice travel with these two or Drost? I always forget.
She travels with Drost and Westra.
Yeah, so they wouldn't know who
but
Alice is.
no, they do, because she showed up in the marketplace and gave Nivara that coin.
Yeah.
And she knew Ketis and Nivara at the time. Do you remember that? She specifically recognized Nivara, called her Nye, and you know, was rushing off because somebody was chasing her. And then that person that was chasing her met up with you. It turned out to be kind of a middle-aged, overweight guy that was out of breath trying to chase after her, remember?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's what you're seeing here. Let me unhide this guy. And then this man in a red cloak. Obviously, Ketis and Nivara don't know anything about Alice, but I'll go ahead and change her name on here because that is Alice. I just left it as a young woman in case you guys didn't figure it out who she was. Oh, and Carrie is just Carrie. She's not Carrie 1. Or Carrie 5. Whoops, I put her in here twice. That's why she's Carrie 1 and Carrie 5. She did not duplicate herself. Alright, you guys rolled your initiative?
Yeah.
Let me roll around to the first round. Alright, it is Nivara's turn. Now remember, do you remember what the director told you about what you were looking for when you came down here?
Yeah, we're supposed to find the... What is it? The Aegirine? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another artifact down here, right?
Do you remember what she told you it was and what you're looking for?
Was it a cloak of something?
She called it the Firestorm Cloak.
Okay.
And one of these, the guy is wearing a
Is wearing a cloak.
Yeah, and his skin is blackened and burned underneath the cloak.
Alright.
Oh, sorry, my dogs are not behaving. Alright, what are you guys doing?
I still have 2 more spots. Alright, well then, since fire,
You might want to go animal.
I was going to
Or
use
actually,
tidal
maybe
wave
not.
on him
Yeah.
because
Oh,
he's far
yeah.
enough away that I won't hit anybody else.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, where's Carrie? I gotta put her back on, sorry. Go ahead.
Maybe we can get that fucking cloak off him before we kill him. Probably wouldn't anyone be doing stuff. I don't know if we could, but
Alright, so
You
Get
did,
him, baby.
before, right when the walls came down, when the dome came down, you did hear her yell, no, don't let him escape.
okay.
That was right before we took a break, so I wanted to point that out in case you forgot. Right.
So,
You gonna tidal wave?
yeah.
So you kind of stand there and try to, it's almost like trying to flex your lats, your back, basically. You're kind of trying to pull some moisture up out of this burned and solidified, just solid rock. There's just no porous space beneath you. And you realize you're not going to be able to pull anything out of the ground like you normally would, so you kind of stand up for a second and look around and realize you're just surrounded by steam right now, and there's just so much water in the air around you that you try to focus on that and bring it into in front of you into this kind of coalescence of pulling the moisture out of the air instead. And then you throw both hands out in front of you, and this wave just erupts out of your hands, and it's still crashing across the smooth glass, and there's just no resistance there. So this wave is moving extremely fast and just smashes straight into him. And where he's standing there almost ignoring you, like he doesn't seem like he was paying any attention to you at all. This wave just crashes into him, and where he was standing, he's now not there anymore, and has now been knocked into this wave of water and kind of is rolling away with it like a fast-moving river, and is pushed way back. He's knocked back about 15 feet over here. From the wave as it passes over him, and he's just kind of left there, and you see him kind of spitting up water, laying on his back as that rolled over him. Go ahead and hit the, where is it? I think you have to do, you go ahead and roll your damage on it, and I'll put the prone effect on it. Hang on, I have the wrong resistance on him. It looks like he was supposed to be resisting part of that, but he's not resistant to it, so 1 second, sorry. This is one of the things I would have had fixed before. I just ran out of time. Right, there we go. I did 16. Alright. Yeah, so he's now knocked prone and is laying basically over there as the water kind of rolls past him and in a similar direction. You notice actually where it exits this giant flat black disc, where it kind of makes its way off the side of that, it crashes into a small house over there that was still on fire and is kind of putting out the fire on that as it passes through. Any bonus actions or anything?
No, but I do think I'm going to move. Up there.
Okay. Ready for your turn?
Yeah.
Okay, his turn.
Okay. Damn.
What?
I was gonna say, I can't quite reach him, and he's prone, so shooting him with my crossbow is not going to be very good either, but I don't think I have any choice, though. So
Yeah, you have disadvantage on a ranged attack if they're prone.
yeah, because I've only got 40 feet of movement, so that'd still put me 5 feet away. Or, actually, no. What? I have 40 feet and he was 45. Does that mean that I can hit him? Or did I move more than...
Well, count off the squares. Where did you move? So you were there, so 5, 10, 15, 20,
I was
25, 30, 35. Yeah, no, that's 40. You were in the right spot. So you're
Okay,
good.
alright.
You were one square to the right of that, but yeah, that's 40. So you just barely make it to melee range, only because
Okay.
you're mobile. Otherwise
Yeah,
you wouldn't have
yeah.
made it.
Another nice little thing then.
So he is prone. He's laying on the ground, flat on his back, coughing up this water. You do notice as soon as you get close to him, though, like it is very hot next to him, and if you stay close to him like this, you feel like it's gonna hurt.
Okay. Which I've actually used all of my movement, so I'm not gonna have any choice if I want to hit him. So.
It may not be that bad. You don't know. He's just
Yeah.
emanating an extreme heat,
Yeah. Okay.
and it hits.
Sweet.
So what are you doing? You just trying to bring it down and stab him like in the gut or something?
Yeah.
As he's laying down. Okay.
Yeah. Got stab.
Okay. You go to stab through, and actually where it hits him, it doesn't feel like it deflected off of anything. It feels like it goes straight through him, like there was almost no resistance. But as soon as it gets through, there's this reverberating shock of vibration, the same way that if you whack a metal baseball bat, like if you take an aluminum baseball bat and you hit something with it, how it shocks through your hands. That reverberation, you know what I'm talking about? Where the tip of the blade hits the just solid obsidian below you. It hits that, and the whole blade just reverberates in your hand for a second. You have that kind of uncomfortable feeling up your forearms, but it stabbed right through him. You pull the blade out, and it doesn't look like he's bleeding. Like, it looked like it hurt him, and he definitely reacted and had like a gut stab and is looking down and in pain. And you see as his eyes go wide, you see the blackened and cracked skin around his eyes begin to separate, and where it cracks away, you see the blood start to kind of pool through it, the way that you can see that the burned flesh beneath it is still there. It looks like he was badly burned, extremely badly burned. Whether it was before this, putting this cloak on or not, you don't know, but it definitely looks to be already in bad shape from that, and the gut stab certainly did not help. But you pull it out and you don't see any blood. It's like the wound was immediately cauterized.
I was gonna say, so it's like he's so hot that it just, yeah. All right, I know what you mean.
Okay.
See if I
you have
can-
another attack.
Okay.
And same thing. So were you going for another stab?
Yeah. Well, start.
Okay. Yeah. So you yank it out, and it is just immediately go right back in, almost in the exact same spot. Go ahead and roll your damage. You rolled shit damage. So this one, where it stabs through, it ends up going through the same spot, and he almost doesn't even react to it. Like the first one hurt, but this one he almost didn't feel it. But anyways, but he still, it still took damage and everything. He's not resistant to it or anything. Don't worry about it mechanically.
Right, and then I'm not hurt yet, I don't think. Yeah, so, and then I don't have any movement left, so then I must be done.
Okay. Alice's turn. She yells. She yells, "Get out of the way! I know you're trying to help, but get out of the way." 15, 20, 25. She runs up here to get a good angle to be able to launch at him. And you kind of whip your head over as soon as she yells this, because the voice just still sounds strangely familiar. You don't recognize her, and you know what? Well, I would have normally had you roll to see if you actually remembered her from Auburn or not, because Kiedis and Ivara may or may not remember her, whereas Ben and Becky do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we'll just say that you do. Do you remember her from seeing her that one time in that one village, like 3 months ago or however long ago it's been? Like, it just seems like an eternity ago. Like, you don't know her very well, but it's just stood out so much because she remembered you and you didn't remember her. So it's definitely strange, but you don't understand why she's speaking in such familiar tones. But she comes running up around to try to get a good shot at him, and you see her as she's running kind of hold one hand out to her left, and kind of there's this small bolt of fire just kind of wisps in a small circle around in front of her hand, and then flings straight out at this guy who's laying down. Oh shit, that sucks. Okay, so mechanically, this isn't in narrative. She had disadvantage because he's laying flat, right? She rolled a 20 and a 2. It would have been a crit if she didn't have disadvantage, but because of the disadvantage, she got a 2, which means the bolt goes right by his head, but bounces off of the obsidian and goes flinging off and ends up smacking into a building off that's already burning. So it's not like she did any extra, problems to that space there, but looks like she was ineffective there. Carrie is kind of still in the back and hasn't had a chance to really react yet. This is kind of outside of her element. Magic isn't really her thing, so 20, 25, 30, she makes it to here, and sees, this presumably bad guy, because it seems like this, you two seem to know this fiery girl, so she doesn't want to, she's not sure what to do there, but she knows that this guy is apparently bad, and he is wearing the cloak that the director told her to recover. So she is going to run her way over there and kind of loading a bolt in the crossbow as she's running, and takes a shot at him. And the bolt sinks into his foot as he's kind of laying there, trying to looking down at the stab wound that he just got stabbed in the gut. An arrow or a crossbow bolt just goes straight through his shoe and out the top end of it. He's now staring down at one foot with a bolt sticking out through it. And that's it for his turn. Now the man in the red cloak. Have you figured out who he is yet?
I'm assuming she's going after
Glassstaff.
Yarno.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Yarno.
Because that's probably what she did when she left Ross and Wester that note and ran off.
Remember that happened between 2 and 4 months ago.
Yeah.
When she left. Okay, so just so you guys are following the timeline there. So where did you? Okay, so remember what I'd mentioned there about him being blackened and burned, and scarred up and covered in these burns and everything. Remember, she had burned him before.
Yeah, because he was almost dead when we got him before, wasn't he?
Yep.
And I convinced her, didn't I? Or no, maybe it was you, babe. One of us.
Yeah, it might have been me.
Well,
one of us convinced her.
It wasn't Ketis and Navarra, but Ross and Wester, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it was Wester that might have done it.
This would be very confusing for not the two of you. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so he, now has this, the bolt just kind of comes up through one foot, and he screams and reaches down and yanks it out of his foot as he kind of, throws himself up to try to stand back up. He still doesn't have much of an emotion on his face. He still looks kind of indifferent almost to the whole situation, and he kind of just slowly, passively kind of turns and looks towards Ketis here, and Ketis did not have a turn yet. Okay, he looking straight at you, and just right in front of your face is going to hold both hands out, and you see this kind of glowing orb begin to appear right in front of his hands, which is 2 feet from your face, straight in front of you. And he's kind of just holding his hands out, and you see this kind of small orb that's the size of a light bulb originally, just grow and grow and grow until it's filling his hands and is now the size of a basketball, let's say. And then the orb just explodes right in front of your face, and you don't really have time to react all that well, but you do get a dex save, so try rolling a dex save.
Okay. And then I was going to say, I guess not if there's a save. I was going to parry this, but if I have to do a save, I can't parry the thing, I'm guessing. So.
You can. I think it's only weapon attacks. Let me read it real quick. Hang on.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, damage is due with a melee attack, and this isn't a melee attack.
Okay.
You did not save.
Damn it.
So you don't have time. This orb is right in front of your face, and you're kind of transfixed for just a moment because this is such a strange situation. And this orb just erupts right in front of you. It is a fireball, and that is going to hurt like a motherfucker. God damn it, I dropped it on him on accident. Whoops. There we go. Oh, good. He actually didn't roll that good, thankfully. Or roll that well. This orb just blows up right in your face. It knocks you back, like not prone, but the explosion is just so much force and so much heat that you're forced back just one step as you kind of collapse down to one knee from this explosion blasting right in front of you. 25 damage, so still a lot. It's almost half of your total health from that one fireball.
Yeah, it could have been worse, though.
But the fireball kind of blows up right in front of you, and it should have burned him too, but you're looking at him and he doesn't seem to be affected by it. It seems like it just kind of where the embers of this explosion land on his shoulders and on the cloak, they just kind of burn away, and like there's just no fuel there for it to catch onto. It seems like he's not affected. It is Navarra's turn.
Alrighty.
You didn't mark off your second tidal wave, did you?
Oh, you know what? Probably not. Nope. There we go. Alright, so I'm gonna move there. And I'm just gonna try and shoot him with the short bow.
Okay.
Damn.
This explosion in front of you, basically you kind of run over there before this. Basically you just saw him get shot in the foot, and you kind of go running over to kind of take a good aim with your bow, and just before you're you pull the string back, and just before you're about to release the arrow, this explosion happens right in front of you, and it causes the force of it just knocks your bow out just slightly, and you try to hold your shot, but it's just too badly knocked off. You release the arrow and it goes flinging off and plinks into a house off in the distance.
Alright.
Bonus action.
None that I can think of that I want to use right now.
Okay. Ketis' turn.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and change his name now that you know who he is.
Is he still prone, or did he get up?
No, he's standing.
Okay. See if I can hit him. Nope.
Yeah, so where this blast just kind of knocked you down to your knees, you reach down and you put your hand on the hilt of your sword, and just try to, as you're standing, try to use that momentum to swing the blade through him. But he doesn't even move. You're just so, like, he seems out of his mind. It doesn't seem like he's even all there. It doesn't seem like a person so much, almost zombie-like. But you were just so knocked aback by the explosion that the swing just goes wide. It doesn't even come close. It swings off to one side and doesn't touch him.
Okay.
You try your second attack.
Yep. That's better.
That is much better, actually.
Second one of the day.
Shit, it is. Just gonna steal
Good
all
luck.
the crits. Yeah. Don't let Bacon have any of them. Let her keep missing, and you don't get any. You just keep getting crits.
I need them. I don't have any fucking tricks right now, man. I'm just like basic combat guy right now. I'm not even, nothing fun.
So your first one just went wide, and you kind of following through with that speed. You let the blade drop in your hand. You just kind of let go and let it swing where gravity would normally take it, and the blade kind of goes to bring it down. And then you close your grasp around the hilt as it's now facing down, and bring your left hand to the hilt of it, and just in one strong jabbing, like a longsword stab almost, basically bring it around in an arc to stab into his side. And it connects and drives through. Go ahead and roll your damage. Also, the momentum of that, you're going to have advantage on your next attack because of the momentum. That was the special table thing that you got. So
Okay.
on your next turn for your first attack, you'll have advantage.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, it cuts through. Looks like it jabs through where it should have hit the cloak. It almost seems like the cloak is pushing it back towards him, like he couldn't cut the cloak for some reason. And where it pushes it back into him, it just kind of jabs into his ribs a little bit, and then you kind of pull it back and are kind of putting it back into the ready position to defend yourself. But if your turn,
Move a bit, so... Move back about here.
okay.
And then I'm done.
All right. Go ahead and hit your intern. There we go. All right. Alice's turn. She yells, "You're not getting out of here, Yarno," and tries to kind of surround him a little bit, basically. So she kind of moves over this direction so that he's not able to escape, or at least doesn't have a means of escape. In the moment, isn't exactly thinking about distance and that kind of thing. She's basically not thinking about surroundings as much as she's thinking about revenge. It is a 20-foot radius. You see why that's bad news, right?
Yeah.
So she's standing there as she's kind of running her way over there. You see her kind of holding her hands together in that same kind of open-handed, like palming a basketball kind of a stance, and you know it's coming. I'll go ahead and give you advantage on the deck save because you kind of see that you've seen her do this once, or I've seen him do it rather, right in front of you, and you're seeing the exact same process happen. And that first blast was the one that knocked your arrow or your bow out of the way. So you kind of are just on the edge of this, and you'll just barely be able to hopefully jump out of the way. Go ahead and roll a deck save. You need to beat a 14. You did not quite beat that 14. So.
But you didn't do advantage.
Oh yeah, sorry. Roll it again.
That's better. Or is that a 10 or an 18? A 10, damn it.
She needed to beat a 14, and she got a 13. So you don't get out of the way in time. Oops. The orb goes sailing through the air and just smashes against Yarno. And you see it roll over him. And just like the first explosion that happened right in front of him, it just rolls over him, and he doesn't seem to react. It doesn't seem like it hurt him at all. But unfortunately, it hurt like a motherfucker for Navara. And the edges of that explosion just blast you straight in the eyes, and you're just covered in this roiling fire. This is the second time you've been hit in the head with fire today. First from the lava monster thing. But it just rolls over you. It just burns and burns and burns. It takes you a second to kind of clear your vision again. But he does not seem to be affected by it at all. And that is it for her turn. It is Carrie's turn. She is going to, seeing that you guys are trying to kind of surround him, she's going to run as far as she can to here. Whoops. And take another shot at him. She says, I got more bolts where that one came from, motherfucker. The one that shot him in the foot. And shoots at him and hits him. This catches him kind of straight in the leg. She's aiming, almost the same spot where the first one hit. It doesn't look like it hurt him all that bad, but he definitely reacts to that more than he did the fireball. It is now his turn. He is going to look. You see him actually kind of make a motion where he's looking off to the distance, almost, again, indifferent to what's going on here. And kind of looks around trying to find an out of some kind is the impression you get. And then there's just something really familiar about this Takedas. You see him holding one hand out, and he holds 3 fingers up. His pinky is bent in, and 3 fingers up, and his thumb out. And he points towards he points his hand basically with that hand motion of his left hand out towards the ground in the distance here. And you see him a purplish swirl just wrap around him and then snaps in, and he disappears and reappears over here. It was Misty Step, which is something that Kiedis is familiar with. But that is it for his turn. It is Navarre's turn.
Alrighty. – 120 feet, huh? Alright. Here?
Okay.
No. Yeah. Is that 30 feet?
I wasn't paying attention to where you were moving from. I mean, I know a general about, but not exact.
25. Yeah, I think that's 30.
Okay.
So.
And it hits.
Damn.
Where he pointed his hand and shot this kind of purplish thing towards him, and it snapped and reappeared over there. You kind of saw him going that direction. You'd actually seen Ketis do that before, so you were kind of almost kind of prepared for it, and just grab another arrow out of your quiver and go running at him, knock it as you're running, and try to release the shot. The arrow almost misses. Actually, it bounces off of the obsidian right off the ground. You don't see even the slightest scratch on the obsidian, but where it bounced off of it, it comes back up and goes right through his ankle, sticking out through the other side. It doesn't look like he's badly wounded by it, but it still hurt him. That it for your turn?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to heal yourself? Do you have a bonus action?
Thank you. Completely forgot. Alright.
You have Healing Word as a bonus action, which you can use basically if you're going to use a first level slot, it'll be 1d4, second level be 2d4, etc. So just click the one you want to use and then mark off your spell slot. Make sure you have yourself targeted.
Whoop.
And
Right,
don't have anyone targeted, yeah.
Dang it.
Hey, we rolled pretty good. Was that a second you were using? Yeah.
Okay.
Did you mark your second slot off?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, it is Ketis' turn.
Okay.
Don't forget to untarget yourself before you try to fire your next arrow.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm
Like
going
you could
to
shoot herself.
scoot on
Yeah,
in
that'd be
and see
good.
if I can trip him this time.
Okay. He is holding a staff, but it doesn't seem to be. He's not necessarily using it as a weapon.
Okay. I still had advantage on the roll, right? And I got another 20.
Yeah, so yeah, you still have from the momentum basically this kind of battle rage almost, not barbarian type rage, but just this being your element. From the momentum of that swing, you go kind of. He was off to your left, and now he's off to your right, and you just kind of use that to your advantage and go charging straight at him, and in an upward slice, just go swinging straight through him. Go ahead and roll your damage.
All right.
The critical table didn't see anything, so let me find another one. Oh yeah, apply your crit attack. That's going to double too, because it doubles all dice, so the trip attack will do double damage also.
Oh, sweet. Bunch of ones, but a couple sixes too, not bad.
Yeah, so you rolled 2 minimum and 2 maximum. As far well, the 2 trip attacks were what it was. Otherwise, that would have been shitty damage, because the 2 from the crit were both ones. You have kind of a mental acuity flash for a second. Your next ability check of any kind for the next day, you'll get to add a 1d4 to it. So don't forget that.
Nice.
Basically, you just kind of you have a moment of inspiration. Now, speaking of, actually, don't forget your inspiration for you guys.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, you have kind of a rewarding moment where you feel like you're doing really well in this, and for your next ability check of any kind, you'll get to add a d4 to it.
Cool.
Anyways, yeah, so that's a pretty nasty cut, actually. He is looking pretty bad. He was already covered in these just covered in burns everywhere, head to toe. And where the flesh is starting to break open from those burns, it's just pouring blood out of him now. He's not dead. He's missing 2/3 of his health at the moment.
Okay.
So HP's wise, he's still got a ways to go, but he's pretty badly beat up. Go ahead and roll your second attack. No more advantage, by the way, you used it.
But he's prone, isn't he?
No. Oh shit. Sure. Yeah. Sorry. I forgot your trip attack. Yep. Grab the trip attack. Here, I'll do it. Sorry. Yep. All right. So you don't need to click advantage on this one anyway because.
No. Okay.
Oh shit! Actually,
pick
he's
it up.
supposed to have a DC 14 save on that. I'm gonna go ahead and roll it for him. Hang on.
Yeah.
I've already
Well.
applied it to him, but just for future reference, just keep that in mind. I'll go ahead and roll it anyway, just to see if he was
Okay.
saved.
Yeah.
Seems like that should be Dex, but it is Strength. He would have. No, actually, he got a 13. He would not have made it anyway. So, yeah,
Okay.
but he is prone.
Okay, so do I need to click advantage or no on my hit?
You won't need to because he's prone. It'll already work. It'll automatically. Do it.
Nice.
and it hits. So basically, you kind of cleave up through that same wounded leg where he's got the arrow stuck through it from Navarro's shot. That upward swing caught just behind the knee and cut straight through it, just as like a hamstring almost, not actually hitting the hamstring, but hitting through the calf. And the momentum of it just kind of swung his foot out from under him, and he goes laying flat on his back again. This is the second time he's been laying on this black glass. And after he's knocked down, you just bring the blade down in a downward stab, being careful not to stab the tip of the blade into the rock this time. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Okay.
Very badly beat up at this point. He's coughing up blood now, and you see the blackened lips, like around the corner of his mouth, where he's coughing his blood up, is starting to crack even more, and there's just a gout of blood pouring over his chin.
Okay.
That if your turn.
Nice. I've still got 10 feet, so I'm gonna move back just a little bit, and I'm going to sip a Stridos.
Okay. Yeah, not great, but better than nothing.
Yeah. Cool. Alright. And here we go.
Okay. She is realizing that her all of her major abilities really are not seeming to do much of anything to him, and that your guys' help is what's making the difference. She is going to 15, 20, 25, 30, run as close as she can towards him, and is just in a rage. Just, she's unintelligible. You can't even understand what she's screaming about. Obviously, this guy she feels is responsible for the death of her father, and as she's kind of running towards him in a stormed, kind of stomp kind of a way, is going to fling her dagger at him as he's now laying down on the ground. It is arranged. Okay, cool. The dagger misses and clinks off of the glass and just goes spinning and spinning and spinning off into the distance, landing a few, 15 feet away on the glass, just spinning and spinning. That's it for her turn. Carrie's turn. She's fucking 85 feet away. She doesn't have any chance. She makes it to about here. That's 50 feet. She'll have disadvantage. She'll have disadvantage anyway because he's already laying prone. He's going to try to take a shot at him. Still manages to hit somehow from that distance, and another small bolt sinks into his shoulder, and he's just sitting here just in a pitiful mess. It is now his turn. He is he's still not reacting much. Like, it's as beat up as this guy is, you kind of feel like he should be screaming. He should be in a tremendous amount of pain. You see his body just falling apart basically, but he's just isn't reacting to something. Something within him is holding him together, whereas he may not otherwise have been. And you see him kind of slowly kind of roll himself over to one knee, and then kind of hold that knee up, and then puts his one hand against that knee and kind of uses it to steady himself, and he stands himself up and looks around kind of impatiently and dismissively, like this whole thing is beyond him, or maybe he just doesn't really notice what's actually happening or going on. And he is going to turn and look at Alice, and you see him kind of hold his hands out again. This time, the shape between them, though, he doesn't hold them out the way that the fireball was, and this time it's basically kind of one hand that's in an arcane gesture that Ketis has never seen, Navarro's not familiar with either. But between his hands this time, you see one hand is holding a diamond, and instead of the ball that you saw before, this time it's a small glistening orb, kind of like a jewel might be, like a gem might be, that is rotating colors over and over and over again, and it eventually settles on this kind of light lavender color that flings in and blows up at Alice. Rolled shitty, but that is enough. She was already beat up enough that this orb, this crystalline lavender shape just explodes into her, and she's just covered in these itty bitty shards. And you see her face kind of go slack for a second, and she's just covered in slivers, basically these like kind of lavender slivers of gem dust, and she kind of collapses down to one knee, and she looks over at you guys just for a fleeting moment, and looks just in really horrible pain, and then collapses into a pile of ashes. The body just settles into a pile of ashes on the ground. Toast.
All right then.
It is Navarro's turn.
Wow. All right. Alright, so I'm gonna go there.
By the way, by the back and forth you guys were seeing before you guys came in here, it seemed like she was taking some damage. Okay, mechanically she's resistant to fire but not immune. She was taking half damage from his attacks, from his fireballs and things like that. Whereas he was immune, so he's not taking any damage at all. Which is why when you notice the fireball settled on him twice, that it didn't touch him at all, or the firebolts or anything else that she was throwing at him.
Okay.
Okay. He's not prone anymore, so you did not have disadvantage. But it did hit. It would not have critted anyway, so we're fine. Let me take the prone off though, because he stood up on his turn. All right. But it still hit. So he was basically facing you, so you're kind of a few feet away from. Did you run straight to her ashes, or are you? I took her off. I can't tell where her ashes were anymore.
Right about there, somewhere.
No, I thought hers were up a little bit more.
Okay, all right. It may be. I just wanted to make sure. All right, so basically you kind of make your way in to close the distance, and then release another arrow at him, and it catches. He was still holding his hands out, and it catches him right in the neck, between basically collarbone. Really is where you hit him, and it's just jutting out there. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Good job, Ed.
It sinks through, and you see that it's in there deep. That arrow went straight through. Like it's still sticking out of him. It's not all the way through, but you can tell by the distance of how much bolt or how much of the shaft is still sticking out that arrow definitely went through his back, and probably stuck into the cloak a bit. And he looks like he kind of looks down in shock, and this is the first kind of emotion, I guess you could say, that first time you've actually seen him really react beyond like staring at the stab wounds in his stomach and things like that. This is the first time you've seen him like jaw go slack kind of thing. He looks down and he is in very bad shape. He doesn't look like he's going to survive very long.
Alright.
Bonus action.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna use Healing Word again.
Okay.
Just...
Hey, you remember to target yourself. Good.
Nice.
Good, because Yarno needed some healing, and better that you didn't give it to him. Okay. Alright, Ketis' turn.
Okay. See if I can hit him again. Yes.
Good. Yeah, he's standing there just so in shock, still staring down at this arrow sticking out of his neck, like through his collarbone, that he doesn't even move. He doesn't even notice you moving up towards him, and you bring the sword across, just kind of cutting through his midsection, basically right through his chest, really up towards the arrow. Go and roll your damage. The blade goes carving straight through, and you feel resistance, but it's not resistance of the body. Where the blade goes swinging through it, it carves straight through the body and then stops when it hits the cloak for some reason, which is the strangest feeling, because it's being stopped by a flimsy cloth is what it feels like, but it's still you feel that the whole length of the blade basically kind of resist and push back on your elbow almost, as it comes up because of the height, basically, where the distance is, the difference between where the cloak is above and below, where it's closer to his shoulders, basically. But it carves straight through, and the blade goes all the way up through until almost where you're hitting the collarbone where the arrow is, and then stops finally. And you go to kind of yank it a little bit, and finally it gives, and you pull the blade away, and he just slumps down. He isn't reacting anymore and looks to be not alive.
Alright. Then we need to get that fucking cloak off of him right away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, he's slumped down to the ground. He's basically just a big pile of meat in this cloak. Roasted meat because he's all burny, and dead on the ground. So you're just gonna pull the cloak off.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll a sleight of hand, for lack of a better skill. Yeah, you don't have too much trouble with this, and you're kind of careful about touching the skin because he still has so much heat coming off of him that it's uncomfortable being even this close. But the body is just so badly contained; it doesn't feel like it's wanting to hold together anyway. And you kind of push here and pull there, and you end up kind of having to shove the head back down through the neck of the cloak because it's got a big hood that he was wearing and everything. And it seems like it should be a pretty grisly mess here, but he's so cauterized and everything that it's not as gory as it almost should be. But with some effort, you end up kind of pulling all of that off, and now you're holding this cloak. When you look over, you see there's nobody else in the vicinity that's close enough to really seem to notice what's going on here, especially with this thick kind of steam that's still filling this area. It's still slowly dissipating, but there's nobody close enough to really see this. But as you're pulling this out because of your, let's say, interaction with the Oculus before and the hammer, you look over to see what Carrie's reaction is, and her eyes definitely go wide, and she's immediately transfixed, staring at the cloak. What do you do?
If it'll fit, I'm gonna put it right in my back.
Okay. You bundle it all up. It'll fit just fine. You've got plenty of room. You bundle it all up and throw it in your backpack. She does kind of shake her head a little bit, closes her eyes, shakes her head, and then slowly approaches. Just comes walking up to you guys. She had that minor little jab on her arm from one of the little imps earlier, and is kind of using another strip of cloth that you can tell that she probably keeps a bunch of these just for small bandages and stuff, but is wrapping it around her arm as she approaches. She kind of comes up. Dogs, hey, stop it. As she approaches, though, she says, was that? And she's kind of looking towards the pile of ashes there. Stop it. She says, was that a friend of yours?
Well, these two wouldn't know her as a friend, really, but it was a lady that we had met, so we'd say what we'd met her before.
Yeah, she was I guess she.
That was here in Phandalin, wasn't it? Was that here in Phandalin when we ran into her? No.
Ketis and Nivara have never been to Phandalin. This is the first time. No, it was in Auberd was the name of the village.
Okay.
In a place called Kedril. It's where Jack's mansion was. But as you're kind of standing there, barely having a moment to breathe, really kind of collecting yourselves. You're both pretty badly beat up and burned from some of the interactions here. You hear a rustling, and you immediately, you weren't looking directly at the ashes, but you look over towards the ashes and you see something looking like it's trying to dig its way out from underneath the ashes. You guys do anything? Well, you don't have time to anyway.
Do what?
Go over there and, I don't know, kick some of the ashes out of the way.
Well, as you're even kind of approaching and walking over towards it, you see the ashes are slowly kind of stirring and stirring, and there's something very small in there, maybe the size of a grapefruit, underneath the ashes. And you see something bright orange kind of shove off, like kick away the ashes that are over it, and it kind of flings it away, and then you see just a corner of a bright orange feather, and then another one from the other side, and it kind of keeps shaking this off and shaking this off, and then it starts flapping and flapping and flapping, and you see, like, as this dust cloud of these ashes are kind of slowly billowing up around it, these kind of thin clouds of ash that the wind is starting to whip away, and then it flips up, and as it's kind of flapping itself, its wings, you notice it's a very small bright orange bird that's flapping away at these ashes, and then eventually starts to kind of lift itself up, and then flap, and then flap, and then flap, and just starts to kind of slowly make its way off. It looks like it's struggling to fly away in this wind, but it does make its way up, and then off, and flies off behind the buildings. And as you are going through, kind of gathering yourselves together, and after having seen that, do you guys react at all to the bird flying away?
I'm sure I would have kind of just stepped away, so I didn't know what it was going to do, so probably would have taken just a step away and probably just watched it fly.
Sure.
I probably would have taken a step forward because it's an animal, so I would.
Yeah. Well, that's what I did.
Interested
Then
in
I took a step back, like, all right, I'm getting out of the way. I don't know what the hell the other thing's going to do.
Roll a nature check on Nevara. Roll it in the tower. There was something vaguely familiar about what you saw, but you can't quite place it. Like maybe you feel like you've probably heard of these before, but you couldn't quite place it in time, and it just got way too fast for you to really be able to kind of identify what kind of bird it was or anything like that. But before you guys really have much time to even think about that happening either, so all this has happened extremely fast, basically. You kill this thing, you start pulling the cloak away, you shove the cloak in your bag, Carrie reacts, and you see this bird kind of make its way up out of these ashes. Do you remember that this is, it's been a hectic series of events anyway, but as you guys were first approaching here and seeing the dome, there was this kind of flitting shadow that was flying back and forth between everything. Do you remember that? And it went into the crowd. So you guys are looking back and forth, and you hear a cawing sound, like a crow's caw. And it sounds like another fucking bird thing happening, and before you really have time to really think about it, there's another burst of mist nearby you, and that strange woman shows up right next to you again, same as she did, when you guys ran around the corner in the college. Here she is. There we go. Just blows up next to you, in her strange garb and odd manner of speaking and so on, appears up next to you. She says, first she's breathing extremely heavily, like she's like huffing, like, and then as she kind of catches her breath for a second, she says, "What are you guys doing here?"
Good.
Helping out the city.
I mean, good people do. Probably shouldn't say that. No.
Yeah, that's probably not a good idea. We shouldn't.
Shouldn't say what?
Just say that we're.
I'm not going to tell you that you did say it. I'm not going to.
No, we were just saying. Just to say that we were coming to try to see if we could help people because we saw that it was murder.
She says, "Help the people, huh? That's almost tangential, I guess. Almost related, I guess, to what I'm doing here. A similar purpose, I suppose. But strange meeting you here. I mean, we were just up there," and she kind of points to the sky, and she's pointing really at the moon up there. And she says, "We were just up there. I mean, I did not expect to see you guys again so soon, especially after, postponing our dinner plans." Nothing? You guys are gonna... She says, "Well, as I was kind of going back and forth, I mean, it's I've been busy. I mean, as you guys might tell. I mean, she's also covered, like you guys are covered head to toe in soot. Even the burns have already been covered again by new soot of all this shit just kind of slowly settling down from the wind blowing it around and everything. And she is similarly covered in that. And she says, as you guys can probably tell," and she kind of looks down to her hands and kind of holds her arms out. She says, "Yeah, I've been busy, but it seems like you guys were too. And I mean, I flew over, probably 5-10 times. I gotta say, I mean, I've been watching you guys a long time, and I don't know what it is, but you just specifically, and she's looking at Ketis, she says, did not seem, I don't know, as effective as you usually do. I mean, I've been cautious about approaching you guys, and right now, I mean, I could take you. Like in a
Yeah,
fight.
well, things changed a little bit, I guess you could say.
She says, well, about that, I mean, you do, just standing here this close, you feel weaker somehow, so you want to tell me what's going on there?
Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter anymore anyway, but was under the, what, contract of Odin, so I guess that'd be the right word for it, contractor. So
She's, when you say Odim, she kind of, her mouth opens a little bit, jaw drops a little bit. She says, that's not common for people like you to know a name like that. Certainly not, see, Odim tends to go, as you may or may not know, I don't know, but he tends to go by different names in different places, and very few people learn his real name. No wonder I was a little afraid of you before. Well, I mean, I don't know. It sounds like, I mean, do you need a job? Like, you really, I don't know. I mean, as much as you guys were able to avoid the attention, let's say, of Lord Crow here, the impression I got was that you guys were well, at least, probably the both of you together, but, not to diminish at all your effect on this, Nivara, but I mean, you still 26 times. I mean, I'm still a little pissed, to be fair, but 26 times and you still never said hi. It's kind of sad, but I mean, it does show some cleverness on your guys' part. I mean, I'm a little hurt, but that aside, at least we're here. We can have this chat now. But Lord Crow was definitely still impressed. Despite being mad, he was also impressed. I mean, I could talk to him on your behalf. I can't promise anything, but maybe he can give you a little push. What do you think?
yeah, might not be against working something out because I am feeling a little weaker these days. So
She says, well, tell you what. I mean, we got to go to the thicket anyway. There's just no way around it. I mean, as many times as you guys have kind of circumvented the rules here, we're going to have to at least go say hi. I've got to finish up here, though. So I know we promised dinner. I did say postpone. I don't know why you guys followed me down here like that, but at least, let me finish up here. We'll meet up later. We'll have our dinner. We'll go to the thicket. We'll see what Crow says. What do you think?
yeah, why not? What else do we got to lose? So, nothing.
All right, and that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
Cool.
All right, dudes. Well, dudes and lady. Dude and lady. All right. Let's see. What do I have? Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay. So session-wise, let's see. That puts us at next Sunday will be the 28th. That work for you guys? Next Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunday or Monday, whatever you want to do.
All right, guys. Any questions or anything? Did you have fun?
Yeah, that was good. And no, I don't think so.
All right. Then I will see you guys next week.
All right, G.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.